Alright. I thought I'd just turn this thing on and then just start going. Because, recently I was on Netflix and I saw I had a little, I think it was 3 days, a 3-day binge on, on a huge blast from the past. I mean, a blast from Power Past, if you can say it, say it like that. But yeah, Power Rangers Time Force. I mean, wow, I tell you, so long I've seen this show on this particular incarnation. I remember back when before Disney XD was Disney XD, it was Toon Disney, and Disney at the time owned Power Rangers. They owned the right. They owned the rights to Power Rangers, and they had this little time block called Power Rangers Generations, and they were showing all of the classic episodes, Mighty Morphin all the way up. Because at that time, I think at that time, Power Rangers Down Thunder was still the newest show. So from Mighty Morphin all the way up to Mystic Thunder, I think on either that or SPD around there, one of them. But anyway, Mystic Force. I mean, not Mystic Thunder, the Mystic Force. Either that or SPD, Space Patrol Delta, one of them. But they show a lot of the classic episodes, but they rarely show anything from Power Rangers Time Force. And I'm just thinking, this must be the most underrated show. The most underrated show that has been incarnated. This must be the most underrated one. Even though people out there, there are people out there that remember, they've seen everything. Remember the whole episode after episode. They didn't show it as much as you would see Mighty Morphin. I mean, hell, the first part of Turbo, when Tommy and Tommy, Cat, and Adam and Tanya were still the Turbo Rangers. They rarely showed that. They only showed TJ and Ashley and Cassie and Carlos and Justin. They only showed them as the Turbo Rangers, the current Turbo Rangers. So, the first half of Turbo, they rarely show. I don't think they showed ever. But yeah, I tell you, man, they barely showed an episode of Power Rangers Time Force, and I jumped back on this thing for the first time in many years. Many years. I jumped on this thing on Netflix a few weeks back. And man, I gotta tell you, the show was awesome. I mean, it was completely awesome. Yeah, I see, I don't see why people would not want to go through, and talk about this show as much as they would with the others. I mean, hey, there were some real good shows. I mean, Turbo was. I mean, but they made up for it with with In Space and Lost Galaxy, and Lightspeed Rescue was a real damn good show too. But Time Force, it was barely talked about. But but when I watched this show, Yeah, it was one of the most exciting ones. One of the most exciting ones, and the show had a lot of drama to it too. I mean, storylines, man, storylines, very dramatic, man. There's some strong acting in this too, especially with Jen, the leader of the Rangers. Man, the chick that played her, boy, I tell you, she had some intensity in her face, man. Oh man, some real good stuff though. Real good stuff. Strong storylines. A very tearful goodbye episode, The last episode, it was quite a tearful goodbye. I mean, you saw this relationship bloom between Jen and Wes. You saw this relationship bloom between them. I mean, you can tell, Yeah, one did like the other, and we were starting to I was starting to really get invested into this thing again, seeing these two, just pretty much let each other know that one do like the other, but they didn't never said it, you know, until the very end when Jen finally told him that she pretty much loved West. I mean, it's a nice. That was a very good subplot to the very good subplot to the entire series. We watched the Rangers. Watch these particular Rangers. And go through time just so they can stop Rancic, and then you saw, that was the main plot. They went through time to arrest Rancic and bring him back to to their time, to the year 3000. But at the same time, we was watching this relationship between Jen and Wes really blossom. I mean, yeah, this was some real good writing, for these two. You know, I mean, if we were just watching, I remember a long time ago. Remember this long time ago, we just watching, just say, "Come on, just kiss already," you know. And yeah, there was a moment where they was about to lean in for each other. I mean, yeah, it was a real good subplot storyline, Jen and Wes's romance. It was blossoming romance, but still, the rest of the series though, you had some real good action, real good comedy, Yeah, Power Rangers at Time Force, yeah, it is a very underrated show, and you really gotta give this thing a shot. You go give it another shot. Check it out, man. All over Netflix. You'll never regret watching this. Okay, yeah, huge recommendation from me, a Netflix recommendation from me. You never regret watching this. Okay, Power Rangers, Time Force. Theme song I got linked to the bottom in the description. But yeah, check this show out though. Give it a watch, man. It is just straight up awesome. Action packed, of course. It's Power Rangers. Where you gonna spit from there? But yeah, very good dramatic stuff. Especially in the 3-part series finale between Wes and Eric. These guys, they were like rivals in in this show. They were rivals to each other, but they used to be old friends too. So yeah, Wes, he pretty much let Eric know, yeah, they are Power Rangers, and they're gonna have to fight together, and that's to stop Rancic and the rest of his army. Yeah, man, yeah, it was only those two left because the other Rangers were forced to go back into to their time. So Eric and Wes, they were the only two Rangers left, so they had to fight. They had to fight, but the Rangers, the other Rangers, they made the decision to not have their minds not have their minds erased, and they went back and we went back through time. They came back, arrested Rancic. I mean, some real good stuff throughout this whole thing, though. I mean, like I said, I can't really emphasize how awesome this show really is. And yeah, just give it a shot. Give it another shot. Right there on Netflix for you. Go ahead, search for it, watch it, binge right through there. I mean, it's 40 episodes, so just binge right through it. So I mean, hey, it took me like 3 days just to shoot right through those. So yeah, do yourself that favor. Yeah, ain't not much more for me to say. Um, Another movie review is coming next week, so check out the rest of my shit right here. Subscribe to me right here. So in the meantime, in between time, Jack, another movie review is coming tomorrow. Another one next week, but another one's coming tomorrow. So in the meantime, in between time, this show is